Hey Corinne, how are you?
I'm very well, Arnie. How are you?
It's good to see you again.
And you. It's been quite some time since our last webinar, so I'm really looking forward to this one.
It's amazing. We get to meet in regular distances to check in and see where we are on the Brexit, on the customs front, on the importing, exporting front, into the UK, into the EU. So, it's always good to check in with a real customs specialist, real customs experts. You know how I call us, little geeks.
Yes.
So Corinne, today I thought we have a bit of a chat about this looming deadline situation. We are in June 2021, and those in the customs world hear about deferred, delayed declarations, supplementary entries, customs declarations. And I reached out to our subscribers and our community at Customs Manager and asked them, hey, what do you know? Or better, what do you want to know about delayed customs declarations? And they've come up with so many questions. So I thought I'll ask you the questions that is most on the minds of our valued readers and watchers that watch this video. By the way, if you've not subscribed to this channel, you should do that right away. You should click on the subscribe button and hit the notification button so that you will never miss another video. Anyway, so I have actually got 10 questions. 10 of the questions that our subscribers and readers really want to know about deferred declarations in the UK. And would you be able to help us with that?
I'm sure I will, and I can give the members a lot more information about how deferred declarations are implemented and what they need to do to complete the declarations.
Wonderful. So I've written them down so that we've got them in a proper order. So the first question that subscribers were asking was, what actually are deferred declaration? Because that was a subscriber not in the UK, so they didn't really know what I was talking about when I was writing blog entries on deferred declaration. So can you enlighten us?
Yes, the government implemented various easements from the 1st of January this year to help companies that had not traded and completed import customs declarations for supplies from the EU. And this easement allowed these companies to bring goods into the UK without providing an initial customs declaration. But, and the big but there, is that companies had to provide a supplementary declaration in 175 days of import of those goods. This supplementary declaration had to be provided to the government.
Oh, I understand. Okay, good. So that is already quite a lot to dissect here. So you said that was for what goods? Is this for any goods coming into the UK?
No, it's not for all goods. It's only for what we call standard home use goods. So goods that have been brought into the market for distribution or for street sale. Any goods which are excise goods, dual use, need licenses, those goods are not covered. And any goods under any form of customs control, such as customs warehousing, inward processing, outward processing goods that are returned, these goods would not be covered under the deferred declaration scheme.
Okay, so let me understand, and this is another question that we had here by the subscribers. So subscriber was asking, he's bringing in goods from America. They are normal standard electronic goods, and they're trying to import it. And they're asking me if they can delay the declaration now that the UK has introduced this easement. Would you say that's good? That's okay?
No, it only applies to EU countries. So any countries that are outside the EU, this easement does not apply to them. They have to, on import of goods into the UK, they have to provide a customs declaration at point of import.
And you said these are standard goods. So when we're dealing with things like ozone depleting substances and diamonds, then that's not good either, right? Then you need to.
No, they will require an import customs declaration on import.
So another question that came to us is, so they've set up, it's a European company from the south of Europe, and they have now luckily set up a customs warehouse because they were planning on storing the goods in the UK and then selling it either back to Europe or to other parts in the world. So it would be like the hub. And they had an idea of bringing this into the UK with a deferred declaration, meaning no hustle at the border, meaning nothing to declare. And they would just store it in their warehouse and then ship it out around the world. Is that fine?
No, they can't do that. It's only goods that are intended to be imported to home use. Any goods for warehousing or under any customs special procedure is not allowed under the deferred declaration scheme.
What's home use?
Sorry?
What's home use?
Home use means that you're declaring the goods to be used within the UK and you're making due or payment of any customs duty and import VAT that is liable on those goods. So once you completed the customs declaration and you secured in effect the debt, the import duty and VAT with customs, those goods are then free to be distributed throughout the UK.
Got it. So you talked about 175 days. How do I understand that? Is that when where does it even start? So another question was, where does 170 days start? At what point do I start to count?
The point of import is, or the requirement is, that when the goods arrive in the UK, you need to make an entry into your records. That's called EIDR, entry into declarant's record. So that is establishing the tax point for those goods. And based on that, then you have 175 days rolling scheme of when you had to submit a supplementary declaration for those goods.
Okay, so that would mean if I start on January 1st, if I imported something on January 1st, then plus 175 days gets us to end of June. End of June?
Yes.
Is that right?
No, it's the 25th of June because it's a rolling 175 days. So it's in effect just under the 6 months. And that declaration supplementary declaration has to be submitted by then to customs.
Oh, okay. So do I have to submit the customs declaration on that day, 175 days after I deferred? Or another subscriber asked, do I have to wait 175 days before I submit? Or is there a limit as to when I can submit or when I can start submitting? Or do I have to submit up to 175 days and not later than that? What exactly is it, please?
It's up to 175 days. So it's any time from the point of that entry into your declarant's record up until the 175 days that you can submit your customs declaration. But once you submit that supplementary customs declaration, then your duty and import VAT become liable on those goods.
So, okay, thank you. What you said, I have to EIDR, entry into declarant's records. Well, what records? What entry? How do I do that?
A company that imports goods from the EU from the 1st of January will need to make an entry into their own records of what goods that they've imported. So information on how the goods have arrived in the UK, what truck, if they've got number plate of the truck, what goods that are on that truck, invoices, any way bills or transport bills that they have with those goods, and information on the freight costs. They will need all that information so they can prepare to make the supplementary declaration when it is due.
Yes, and so, okay, I recorded all that. The next question that we were given was, well, we are approaching the 175 days. I am ready to make my supplementary declaration. How do I even start? Where do I even start? How do I do it? What do I do?
Now, here's a catch, which might be a little bit problematic to some companies. They may not have realized that to submit that supplementary declaration, they need to either have a system, a computer system that will communicate directly with UK Customs System Chief, or they have to use a customs broker that has that connection. And they also need to have CFSP authorization. I know you're going to ask, what is CFSP authorization? It's Customs Freight Simplified Procedures. And it is an authorization that is given to a company to allow them to have software, specific software, that they can communicate with the Customs System Chief directly. And so a company that has imported goods under deferred declaration must either have the software themselves to communicate with Chief, or they will need to use a customs broker that has that authorization to communicate with Chief. They cannot use any customs broker that does not have that authorization.
Yes.
And there is only a limited amount of customs brokers that do provide that service. So some companies, unless they've started looking for a customs broker, they might end up with a few problems in submitting these supplementary customs declarations.
Well, we are very lucky here at Customs Manager to be able to help them. It really,
Yes.
are. So I heard about CFSP, and if you're doing it yourself, then there's things like the deferment account and the software to think about, and that's not something you get overnight. It takes a while to understand, to make that strategic decision, whether you file for yourself or whether you entrust the customs filing to specialists in the field. Now, you and me, we've done so many customs declaration entries. And what's really great, I think, is that we also understand the context. We're not just entering data into a computer. We understand why this needs to be done and how this needs to be done. And I think that really sets us apart in providing businesses with a helping hand. So that's always really appreciated. Corinne, we're almost coming to the end here because we've covered like a lot of ground. I'm checking my list to see if we've covered all the questions here. So we talked about CFSP and we talked about the things that people need to do with a supplementary declaration. There are a few cheeky questions that came. So that was actually the last question, but we let's throw in a bonus question. Hey, why not? Let's do a 10 plus if you want. So the last question I had on my list is, well, if I am not making a customs declaration when I'm coming into the UK, right, because I'm deferring it, and I'm making a entry into the declarant's record on a kind of trust basis, how will the government know? How will HMRC even have a clue that I brought these things into the UK in the first place if there is no record whatsoever? So that was a question asked, so I'm passing it to you. What do you do if you never made a record, or you made a record, but how would HMRC ever know?
There are various ways that customs will know about trucks coming in. There's the carriers, the ferry carriers, and the transport carriers. There are their logs which they have to provide to customs of goods moving into the UK. So they provide various logs of the goods. And also, a company will need to supply a VAT return to customs or customs authorities. And that VAT return will tell customs what imports or what VAT is liable on goods that they've imported from the EU. So there's various ways that customs can tell if a company has been bringing goods in from the EU and they haven't made the supplementary declarations. Now,
that I didn't expect. Well, I kind of did, but that's okay. But that's important to know, right? It's important to know that there are no shortcuts here, and the easement should be confused with naivety. This is a legal obligation. You were given some time out in order to prepare, and now you have an obligation to submit that declaration. And obviously, we will do our best to support you in that, to make sure that you can file what is legally your responsibility to file. And Corinne and I stand ready to support. And with that, the last question, if you don't mind, Corinne. So what if I don't file a customs declaration, a supplementary declaration, either because I'm not ready or simply because I don't want to or I forget?
If a company does not file their declarations when they are due, then they face penalties from customs, and obviously they will have to pay the duty and VAT liability going back. Now, it might be a case that they're not initially found out, but what they have to remember that if any errors are found, customs will go back 3 years to claim any back duty, any back customs duty and import VAT. Plus the penalty notices will compound going back 3 years. And if deliberate fraud is suspected, then customs will go back even further. So, you know, if a company wants to build their reputation on non-compliance, you know, that is totally the right way of doing it. But they will always have that worry that they could have an audit from customs and have a big duty and VAT liability. So the key word is compliance. You know, get the information correct to begin with. And if they're struggling to know how to progress forward, then, you know, they can contact us at Customs Manager, and certainly we can help them.
Absolutely. Wow, Corinne, what an insightful conversation that was. Thank you so much again for being available and helping us understand this, as my good friend Paul would say, feverishly complex area of deferred customs declaration. I think it's much clearer now, and I think we all have a kind of an action plan of what we need to do. Now, and obviously, you know what, we offer free consultation. Just go to our website, book a free consultation. Let's have a chat about it. If you're worried, if you're concerned, or if you're not quite sure that, you know, everything's clear to you, then let's do that. Let's have a chat about it and see what we can do, because we know this is a changing, ever-changing and complex area of customs, and we're there to help. We will help with advice, we'll help with training, and we'll help with actually doing the filing for you. So, Corinne, thank you once again for being with us. I can't wait to meet next for our next amazing topic on customs, export controls, trade agreement, and the beautiful world of global trade.
Thank you, Arne, and thank you for so many interesting questions.
Of course, thank you. And thanks to our subscribers. Keep them coming. We're really interested. All right, guys, see you next time. Bye.
Bye.